Hello everyone, I am Dr. Maheswari, Assistant Professor of Botany, the Standard Firework Rajaratnam College for Women, Sivagasi. Today we discuss about the classification of hydrophytes, that is plant ecology and plant by phytochemistry. Then this is the hydrophytes, that is the aquatic plants. So what is the characteristics of aquatic plants? So hydrophytes are the aquatic plants warming in the year 1909 classified. The plant based on their water relations on the basis of water requirement and nature of the soil. The plant have been classified into hydrophytes, mesophytes and xerophytes. And hydrophytes are the plant which grow in the wet places or in water. Either partially or wholly submerged are they called the hydrophytes. Let's see the characteristics of the hydrophytes. There are four different categories. That is the portion of the water retention of the flat leaves, featherly roots are air sacs. Water retention is no need for the plant to water retention like non-aquatic plants. There is no need for the spend energy to regulate transpiration, which is the loss of water in the plant. Due to the evaporation of hydrophytes, absorb water and gases over the whole surface and have no stomata. The second one flat leaves where you see. Water lily and nymphaceae, the diameter of the leaf is nearly 12 inches. So mostly aquatic plants they are having flat leaves which are act as the flotation. To the portion of the plant that categorized in the further feathery roots. Hydrophytes are supported by water as compared to the roots and stem structure. Most hydrophytes have roots are small and feathery, they are designed to taken in oxygen from the water, and since the plant is fully submerged in water at all the times, there is less need for long and thick root structure. Fourth, and presence of the iron muscles. This is the air sac. Many hydrophytes have the air sacs or air chambers that help the plant float on the water surfaces. Of water is the important note on that. Some aquatic plants will float slightly submerged in the water. Let's see about the helioplant classification based on the presence of plant in the water condition. Hydrophytes are classified into submerged hydrophytes, floating hydrophytes, and amphibious hydrophytes, submerged hydrophytes. So our plants which grow below the water surface, again the submerged hydrophytes are classified into two different categories. One is submerged hydrophytes are classified into two categories. One is submerged floating hydrophytes and rooted floating hydrophytes. So submerged hydrophytes, submerged floating hydrophytes are the best examples. So submerged floating hydrophytes are example of the Steratophyllum and Utillaria. Okay. So the example of the Steratophyllum and Utillaria, they are the contact with the water alone. They are not only in the surface but below the water surface. The plants under this group are absolutely free from any necessity of transpiration. They are found in the best and light and best aerated part of the plant. And these are the submerged floating hydrophytes. Then the second category is the rooted hydrophytes. The second category of rooted hydrophytes, this group completely submerged and are also the anchored on the substratum and are to soil. They are highly affected by the light penetration. So this plants comes under the shade loving plants. They may be long internodes, absence of parasites, parenchyma, presence of chloroplasts in the epidermal cells that are partially submerged have floated leaves with stomata through which gases can be exchanged. In the land plants, best examples are Utillaria. Then in the land plants, best examples of the Hydrilla and Vestillaria. Vestillaria has the interesting pollination mechanism. The unisex will staminate flows, break off the inflorescences and raising the water surface and float on the water pistillate flasks, elongated and reaches the surface of water, where it is remain until pollinated. After the fertilization, the scape shorten and developed eggplants under the water, it completes it develop. Second main category is the floating hydrophytes. These hydrophytes plants are water surface, are slightly below the water surface. Again these plants are classified into free floated hydrophytes and rooted floats hydrophytes. So what is free floated hydrophytes? The free floated hydrophytes, they float on the water surface, they have contact with water and air but not rooted in the soil. As well known example is pistia. And lamina, in a high terminated lamina has only one stand of root. Ulfia is entirely rootless. Next, passed on to the rooted floating. They are slightly below the water surface. Again, these plants are classified into free floated hydrophytes. Then the root floated hydrophytes of picture Eichhornia, that is Vengaya Tamarai, the best example for the free floating hydrophytes. So what is the free floating hydrophytes? It's they float on the water surface, they have contact with the water and air but not rooted in the soil, well known. Then in water level in orally, that are Victoria regia, enormous leaves are ventricle rim. To prevent them from being floated is nymphia. Next, rooted emergent hydrophytes. The final category is the rooted emergent hydrophytes. These plants in the group grow in the shallow water with their underground parts in water or in water. So saturated muddy soil extending their shoots above the water surface. So they are well known in marsh plants, Halophilus. They are partially below the water and the partially shoots are above the water surface in the plant of Sagittaria. So this one, first picture shows the Sagittaria. Below the water surface is rejected in the leaves, but above the water it has normal leaves in the typha. So second one is the typha. This is the best example of the rooted emergent hydrophytes. The example of rooted emergent hydrophytes, then Sagittaria, Marshallea also the best example for this. The example of Sagittaria have, you can see the both root and shoot development. So dissected and well developed leaves of cilia, as a well known example of the rooted emergent hydrophytes in this pond ecosystem. So this picture shows the pond ecosystem of hydrophytes. The hydrophytes are present, free floating hydrophytes are present on the upper surface of the water samples, that is Eichhornia and Asst. Submerged floating hydrophytes represents the below the water surface. Best example is Utricle area and Cerotophyllum rooted submerged hydrophytes. They are rooted on the soil below the water surface, and best example is Hydrilla, and valley scenario they won't. Come out the water surface, fourth category rooted floating hydrophytes. Best example is water lily and lotus. They are rooted but come out the water surface. Then rooted emergent hydrophytes partially below the water surface and partially above the water surface. Then this picture shows indicates the pond ecosystem. Here you can see clearly floating, that is submerged rooted and submerged rooted floating rooted emergent hydrophytes. And this is the lotus and is Victoria regia. So, and largest Victoria plant is the region of this emergent hydrophytes. Okay. Thank you for watching this video.